We're a real Texas family discovering our world, one destination at a time. I'm Delaney. Culture and history are my specialties. What's the German word for?
I'm Nikki, and I bring the fun.
This is Paris! It's a clue!
And I'm their mom, Jeannie, with trip tips for parents.
I think it's time for some adult flavors.
We explore around the globe and in our own Texas backyard to help families make culture and history their story.
Our last road trip of the year takes us to explore big fun, West Texas style. There are over 1,200 miles of mountains, rivers, trails, and wildlife waiting to be explored.
Now this is real world, real fun in Big Bend National Park.
Big Bend National Park in Brewster County make the perfect family vacation. With great history, friendly locals, breathtaking scenery, and incredible adventures in beautiful Big Bend.
To cut 7 hours off the drive, we hop a quick flight from Houston to Midland. Midland is the perfect size airport with just a few gates. Easy in, easy out.
Big Bend is a big place, so we brought along some friends to help us explore West Texas.
This is Topher, Howdy, and Charlie.
We hit the road for Big Bend National Park with a few historic stops along the way. Getting there is part of the fun. We pass crazy town names that let you know you're in West Texas. Welcome to Six Shooter Draw. And a giant roadrunner that welcomes us to Fort Stockton. 2.5 hours later, we arrive at our first stop in Brewster County, the town of Marathon. Elevation, 4,000 feet. Marathon was established in 1882 and was named by ship's captain Albion Shepherd, who thought this mountainous area looked like the town of Marathon in Greece. We pull into the famous Gage Hotel built by acclaimed architect Henry Trost in 1927 for Texas rancher Alfred Gage.
This is one of America's most historic hotels. Let's go check it out.
The Gage Hotel is like a museum, the fun kind that makes you feel like you're part of the ranching life in the Wild West. There's a lot to explore. With furry friends that are so real, you'll want to approach carefully. For the history on the owner, J.P. Bryan, and his goal of historic preservation, we meet up with Carol Peterson, the general manager of the Gage Hotel.
It's owned by a man from Houston, J.P. Bryan, who bought the hotel almost 40 years ago and really kind of picked the diamond out of the rough. Seriously, it was closed down. It was, everything you could do to a building in the 70s, 60s, 70s to really mess up a building had been done. The ceilings had been lowered, the floors were covered up. It was horrible, the pretty wood trim was all painted. Mr. Bryan had bought a ranch out here, and he bought the hotel in a rather serendipitous way. He had no idea that it was a noted architect. Turned out it was. Mr. Bryan has a particular interest in Texas history. He's actually a descendant of Stephen F. Austin.
The hotel has rooms in the main house, casitas, and Captain Shepherd's house. It also has a great pool and landscaped gardens for burning off some energy. As well as the tasty 12-gauge restaurant and world-famous White Buffalo Bar, named for this big guy who used to roam the plains of West Texas. The Gage knows families and has created an amazing games area perfect for a little friendly competition.
You know what happens next, right?
Fighting calves,
Unite! The Great Gages, unite! Gage wins!
The Gage Hotel is 40 miles from the entrance to Big Bend National Park and makes a great base for exploring Brewster County and Big Bend. For more information, check out the Trip Tips tab on our website at kids-i-view.com. The next morning, we head to breakfast at Marathon's old-fashioned soda fountain called Johnny B's, where we eat a hearty breakfast with the local ranchers and discover a few hidden gems around the tiny town of Marathon. Marathon Coffee's also a great stop, and Eve's Garden is a quirky B&B that makes a unique place to stay while visiting the area. The road to Big Bend promises a beautiful drive. We're in the Texas mountain region where the southern end of the Rocky Mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, and the Sierra del Carmen Range come together. This area is also where volcanic activity formed much of the landscape. We stopped to learn from our guide, Mike Davidson of Brewster County Tourism, how camels helped the U.S. military map this region.
And so the Army did this experiment at one time, and they went to Egypt and got a bunch of camels and brought them back, and it seemed to work really well, because the camels could go days without water. They could eat all kind of stuff that horses wouldn't eat, and they could actually carry water for the horses that the horses couldn't carry. And so a couple of those expeditions made it into this area and really did some of the first hardcore mapping of this border area, this kind of newly acquired territory.
Just down the road, and we're at the park entrance. We meet up with the park's chief of interpretation, who tells us about Big Bend National Park and its programs.
This is David Elkowitz with the National Park Service. So, David, I understand there's a Junior Ranger program. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. The Junior Ranger program is a great opportunity. We target mostly school-aged children, but anybody can do it. It's an opportunity for them to go through an activity-based program where they learn more about the national park and some of the things that we have as concerns. We then offer a pledge and an opportunity to get a certificate and a patch with the program. It's our way of saying thanks, and it's an opportunity for the student to say that they will take care of the parks long term.
I understand that next year is a big anniversary for the National Park Service. Can you tell us more about that?
I'd be glad to. Next year in 2016 will be the 100th anniversary of the National Park Service, and that is a really big, exciting time for us. We are going to offer programs throughout the year for the visiting public. We're going to start right in January. We're going to have a Dark Night Sky program for the public. We're going to go on from there in March and offer an opportunity to have an activity day and learn how National Park Rangers make a living in many of the activities that we do. From there, it'll be National Parks Week in April, and we're going to have a National Parks Week day. We're going to talk about what the park is about and how we came to be. In May, we're going to offer scientific tours for the visiting public about the park. We're going to go on from there in August and September and have a big ground opening for our new fossil bone exhibit for the public, a very exciting time. In October, we're going to offer a Junior Ranger Day for the kids and the visitors with families. And then finally in November, an orienteering opportunity to learn how to use a map and compass and find your way in the backcountry.
And about that sign we saw on the way into the park.
What kind of wildlife live in the park?
It's a great question. In the last week alone, I have heard of people that have seen Mexican black bear, mountain lion. There's been a bobcat with 2 kittens that have been seen, as well as coyotes and javelina, and that's just a sample of our wildlife.
We hop back into the car to find the Lost Mine Trail, one of the park's most scenic hikes. The trail spans almost 5 miles and climbs over 1,000 feet in altitude.
We're doing the Lost Mine Trail.
Let's hit it!
When hiking, pack lots of water. And be prepared if you see animals on the trail. The views are amazing. Thanks to our guide Mike, we can ask questions about geology along the way.
What's the yellow stuff on side the rock?
Well, that's lichens. It's a little organism that grows. It's actually alive, and after a rainstorm, it kind of gets a little brighter. And it's one of the processes that actually weather the rock and help with erosion.
Then we learn how the trail got its name.
So why is the trail called the Lost Mine?
Well, legend has it when the Spanish first explored this area looking for riches in silver and gold, this was in the 1500s, well before the Pilgrims landed on the Mayflower. But the story is that there was a mine that they abandoned, and if you go down on the Rio Grande by the old Presidio of San Vicente, on Easter morning, the first place that the sun hits the Chisos Mountains, that's the location of the old mine.
We make a little noise on the way back to let the animals know we're here.
After our hike, we head into one of Brewster County's most charismatic towns, Terlingua. Yep, it's a ghost town with lots of fun locals like our new friend, Anthony.
I'm Anthony. Terlingua is my hometown.
A drive into the town gives you the sense that this place has an interesting past. Its few dozen inhabitants live in a variety of dwellings. Yep, that's a real teepee. And local art abounds. The name Terlingua means three tongues due to the three languages spoken here from the inhabitants of the Old West: English, Spanish, and Native Americans, most of whom found their final resting place in Terlingua's old cemetery, listed on the National Register of Historic Sites and worth a visit. This cemetery dates from the early 1900s when Terlingua became a flourishing mercury mining town. Many of the residents buried here were mine workers who succumbed to the dangerous working conditions, gunfights, and the influenza epidemic of 1918. This cemetery is still used today by the local community. On November 2nd, people gather here to celebrate the Day of the Dead and offer their respect to the departed. If kids are comfortable and can be respectful of the site, it's an interesting history lesson in life, survival, and remembrance in this remote part of Texas. While Terlingua has a ghost town from the past, it's also a lively place to check out the local scene. The Starlight Theater is the main meeting point for locals and travelers alike who come to reconnect, shop, listen, and get a bite to eat. Local artists have a great sense of humor and celebrate their uniqueness, so get ready to get in on the fun. Just don't end up in the local jail.
Terlingua Ghost Town is a must-do stop just outside Big Bend. The next morning, we meet Big Don from Big Bend Overland Tours. Don grew up in Terlingua and gives us great information on the way to our next hike.
We became a park in 1944, guys. So the park is 71 years old. A pretty amazing date in world history. They made this, or presented the deeds to make this a national park to the president. It was June 6, 1944. A gentleman from Fort Worth named Amon Carter was standing in the White House and presented President Roosevelt with the deeds of land to make this a national park.
Were there any Native Americans that were on this land?
Yeah, we had the two friendliest tribes. They were known as Apache and Comanche. Not too friendly, were they? So what y'all are looking at is Catalina Canyon. As a crow flies from this point, it's a mile straight across to the shelf of that mountain still. You're still a mile away. It's over 1,500 feet to the top.
Even in the rain, it's a great place to hike. And to marvel at the idea that Mexico starts right in the middle of this river. A little Mexico dance from our local host, Anthony. We start the hike up and get some context of what we're seeing from our guide, Mike Davidson.
Well, Santa Elena Canyon is made of two massive limestone formations that were from the early Cretaceous period, or roughly 120 million years ago. And they were formed by the sediment created by little shelled creatures that die and they slowly float to the bottom. And over the years and the pressures were created these huge limestone units.
Keep an eye out for fossils along the way.
Look, these are fossils.
We can't get over the fact that there's another country on the other side.
Texas, Mexico.
And it sure is fun to make use of the canyon walls for echo practice.
Kids Eye View rocks Big Bend!
We even try our hand at making our own changes to the landscape. Before we head back out for a new adventure. The ride back through the park is like driving through the clouds. Big Bend is truly stunning.
Next up, we're hitting the trail on horseback. Giddy up.
Horseback riding in the mountains is a great way to see places you can't access by car.
Have you guys been on horses before?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys have all ridden before? Okay, so a couple safety things before we start. We're going to be walking only. We are going to be going up and down some hills. As we go uphill, you want to make sure you guys lean forward in your saddles. As we go downhill, you want to lean back. You want to keep some weight in your stirrups at all times. You want to push down on your feet. You don't want to just have your legs dangling there. That'll keep you balanced and centered in the saddle. These horses tend to try to eat along the trail. They are not hungry by any means. You want to give them a nice pull up towards the sky and a kick with your heels, and that'll keep them moving. If we stop and we're hanging out for a minute, they can eat, but as we're walking, I want you guys to keep them moving.
We saddle up and head out. There's something about being on the back of a horse in the middle of the Great Southwest.
We're just going to take the shortcut.
Our sure-footed rides are pros at maneuvering the rocky ground. Time for a little thanks for showing us their hometown.
Horseback riding in Big Bend is a must-do.
Our last day in Big Bend, we get up close and personal with the mayor of Lajitas, Clay Henry. Yep, he's a goat. Mike, I understand that the mayor of Lajitas is a goat?
That's right. Clay Henry is the current of a long line of beer-drinking goats that have been at Lajitas ever since I can remember. But it is a fair election. The last time there were 3 candidates. There was a wooden Indian, a 3-legged dog, and Clay Henry won out by a landslide.
Our last afternoon in beautiful Big Bend, we meet up with Thomas and Billy from Far Flung Outdoor Center for a river rafting trip down the Rio Grande.
Life jacket on, and then into the raft.
Then maybe we'll do that.
Seeing the cliffs and canyon walls from the water gives you a totally different perspective. We even spot vehicles who met their end on the rocks below the treacherous road above the canyon. Today, the turtles are out to welcome us. We just can't seem to get enough of making echoes. But the best is reaching over and touching the country of Mexico. Before we brave the rapids on our last ride at Big Bend.
Against all odds. You made it.
We're a real Texas family exploring our world, one road trip at a time.
This is Texas!
If there's a city, a beach, or a country road, Kids Eye View is going to explore it.
All right, on to the next geocache.
Kids Eye View rocks Big Bend!
Kids Eye View is driven by Land Rover Houston Central. Where will your Land Rover take you next?
Our first trip to Big Bend in Brewster County was amazing, but we only scratched the surface of what the area has to offer. For information on planning your own trip to Brewster County and Big Bend National Park, go to visitbigbend.com.
As we travel around the world bringing you culture, food, and fun, we always meet real people making real products by hand. Our partnership brings their products to Houston to benefit children's charities. Lisa and Johan Pepin, owners of Les Pastres Organic Truffle Farm in France, give 50% of their profits to the One Family Orphanage in Haiti. To hear their story, try their heavenly organic black winter truffle oil, and see what else we're doing to help you eat well and give well. Go to thefrenchmarket.us.
Thanks for exploring your world with us this season. For great family travel ideas in 2016, follow us on Facebook and see what we're up to on our website, kids-i-few.com.
Well, I don't know where I'm going, just like the rest of you. We'll stay afloat in this here boat and walk in the same shoes. Well, I know I'm not your neighbor, but you can call me friend.